At IELTS Precision program, you get the best learning experience. Let me share the amazing features of this beautiful program. First, you can access lectures. Like here is a tab of lectures. You can click and reach any of the lectures, and when you click any of the lectures, it plays here, and you can see most of the lectures
In
are
section
just
2 of
most of the lectures are just 10 minutes long. Each lecture is a complete demonstration as to how to solve a particular type of question in IELTS. Once you learn the technique from a lecture, then you can do a lot of focused practices of the same thing. For example, in listening, you see, so once you learn the techniques how to solve a summary completion type of questions, you can do a lot of practices of just that kind. Then, for example, if you learn how to solve match information type of questions in section 2 of IELTS, you have 4 sets to practice just that one thing. Next, if you learn how to do MCQs, you've got a lot of MCQs practices. So the idea is, once you learn a technique to solve any type of questions in a lecture, then you come here to practice only that type of questions sufficiently. So you develop sort of a mastery in solving those questions. Similar is the case with reading. For example, if you go to reading, you see just fill in the blanks type of questions have this many practices here. And each practice is just like 14 minutes long, 8 minutes long, 11 minutes long, 14 minutes long. So these are concentrated practices where you practice just one type of question. Only the type of questions that you've just learned how to solve. This is how you develop your skills in IELTS listening and reading. When you go for writing, you watch a lecture, then you do the practices. Here, it becomes even more beautiful because to learn how you can write task 2, first you learn how to make just the plans. You don't have to write the whole writing task 2. That's not where we start. We start with tiny practices of just planning them. Once you write your plans here and you send it for review, a teacher accesses it and marks it and comments on it as to whether you've made a right plan or it needs some improvements. Once you're comfortable in making plans, then you can go back in writing and do some actual writing task for more than 250 words. Again, you submit it, a teacher marks it and gives you a detailed analysis as to how well you did and how you can improve it even further. And if you want to improve your IELTS speaking part, it's even more beautiful because here you see you get a lot of questions of just section 1, because section 1 got specific questions of your preference or preference of the society around you. So you get a lot of questions so that you can fine tune all your skills regarding this very type of questions. Then you go to section 2. You see section 2 has got some simpler topics and there are some other topics which are quite complex. So you start practicing with the simpler topics and then you move on to the advanced topics as well. Section 3 also has got 2 types of questions and you can see them grouped separately. Like these are the follow-up type of questions. There are some other questions which are quite advanced. So you move from easier type of questions to difficult type of questions, and on any particular day you practice just one type of questions, but in such a great number that you become quite expert in solving those questions or responding to those questions. A lot of students sometimes feel difficult in understanding the accent while in listening exam. For that very reason, we've got an accent training part as well. Here you can open it. You don't have to solve any questions. You just play the audio and match your understanding of the audio with the tape script. This practice gives you an opportunity to pay 100% attention just to the audio so that you may align your understanding with the accent. Once you do these practices sufficiently, your ability or your skills to solve IELTS listening improves dramatically. Similar is the case with reading. A lot of students sometimes stay confused about the actual sense or meaning of any text when they read it in IELTS reading, because IELTS reading has complex text. To overcome this problem, we've got text comprehension practices. These are MCQs type of tests where you can verify whether you stood a particular sentence right or not. If you do a lot of these practices, you can improve your understanding of any text. And finally, there are resources. These resources are there to improve your understanding of the grammar so that you have total clarity of all the grammatical devices that you use. At the same time, you can also improve your vocabulary. All these resources are in fact documents that can be downloaded, and you get clear instructions how you can prepare them to be used in your IELTS journey. And one more very important thing, if you are preparing for writing and you lack ideas or you see a lot of topics where you don't have anything to say, here is a whole bank of ideas on every topic that's there in IELTS official books. So you cover almost every topic that can be asked. Similarly, in IELTS speaking, you get a lot of ideas, and the ideas are even grouped into bigger topics. For example, all artworks, whether it's a painting or a book or a film, a TV show, all of them are grouped together to give you some ideas which can be used for any of these topics. So in this program, you not only learn how to solve particular types of questions, but you also get the opportunities to solve just one type of questions multiple times so that you become a master. And also, if you have difficulty in understanding of the accent or you have some challenges in understanding of the text, there are separate modules to improve your understanding of accent and text. And while preparing for writing and speaking, you not only find as to how to structure a composition or your speech, but you also get a lot of ideas and examples. So these resources fill your gaps of exposure as well. Because in IELTS writing and speaking, sometimes there can be a scenario where you don't have a lot of things to say or write because you don't know much about the topic. But once you go through these resources of ideas, you can feel yourself quite resourceful while talking or writing about them. With all these wonderful features, you are not left unguided, though you can access anything, anytime, as many times as you want, but you are recommended to follow a student journey, because when you join, you tell us what your current level is or what was your last IELTS score and your target band score. Based on that information, you get an individualized student journey. For example, this student is at B1 level, like band 4 or 4.5, and they have to reach band 7 or 7.5, that's C1 level. So their student journey has 228 steps in total, out of which they have covered 10. So these are the tiny steps. They take you along IELTS progress in the most natural way. For example, they start with your understanding of the preparation program that you are going to commence. Then it gives you some information as to why your language ability is important. Because IELTS, of course, is a test of English language. So you need to have a certain level of range of vocabulary and grammar. For that reason, it gives you some tests of grammar and vocabulary in the start. Once you complete some of them, and these are very short tests, each may be just 5 or 6 minutes. When you do a lot of them, you get a better idea as to where you are. If you are already good at grammar, it gives you a verification. And if you feel some problem, you can improve doing these tests multiple times and also using the resources. Once you've improved your grammar at the basic level, you can go to some IELTS practices. It gives you all the tests in the most natural order. It gives you easier tests in the start so that you may get the basic idea of the skill, and at the same time you get some motivation for moving forward. And as you keep going, it gradually gives you some difficult tasks so that your skill is developed in the most natural, gradual way. So whenever you open the dashboard, you always see what you have to do next. So you don't have to keep a track on what you were doing. You enter a beautiful discipline which leads you along through whole journey of IELTS success. This program, with all its wonderful features, is not heavy on your pockets. On the home page, you can see the packages and find which one fits your situation best. So I'm pretty sure you are quite amazed and happy to see this wonderful system of IELTS preparation because it covers every aspect of your IELTS preparation. Whatever your target is, you can learn as many question type skills as to satisfy your target score, and you can also improve your language ability, your grammar, your vocabulary to the level which is required by your target band score. And also, if you ever feel short of ideas for writing and speaking, you've got covered because you can explore as many ideas as required to discuss any possible topics in IELTS writing and speaking. Because to maintain the quality, our teachers work with limited number of students at a time. Once we reach our capacity, we close intake until we have some new slots available. I can bet you can never find any IELTS program better than this anywhere. So join today for a sure success in IELTS.